Hi, I'm Rob B. I'm working on writing a paper right now about climate change. And I noticed some really funny things. Isn't it weird that the worst droughts are happening in places that have the most green technology for climate change mitigation? And it's funny that the more green technology we implement, the more severe weather events there seems to be. And I actually have an explanation for that. So the science is all there, just nobody's linking the science in a way that makes sense. So the average solar panel field is 5 to 10 degrees hotter Fahrenheit than the surrounding area. And they keep talking about 1 degree difference is going to be huge climate catastrophe. But what happens usually, the sun gets to the ground and the heat dissipates into the earth, which we need that because we need the heat to continue to absorb into the center of the earth to make sure that our core stays, or that the mantle stays liquid, so our iron core stays spinning and all of that. Anyway, so what are we doing? We're putting solar panels out here that are actually capturing 100% of the light and the energy from the light, okay? But they can only convert 20% to electricity. So what happens the other 80% of that energy? It's transferred into heat. So that's not a good start. And they've actually shown, like I said, it's 5 to 10 degrees, like 5 to 7.8 degrees or something like that hotter in every solar farm than it is in the surrounding wildlands around the area. And of course, so that's heating up the air, okay? So when the air heats up, it expands, which creates high pressure, okay? So just hold on to that thought in the back of your mind because I'm going to come back to it, okay? Now, it seems like, 5 to 7 degrees at a solar farm is not that big of a deal. The reason it's a big deal is because there's like 900,000 square kilometers of solar farms in the world. So that's 900,000 square kilometers that's being heated an additional 5 to 7 degrees every single day beyond the natural order. It's a lot more than would be happening from a little bit 0.01% additional CO2 in the atmosphere from human emissions, okay? So then you go back to wind power, okay? So how does wind power work? Well, the wind turns the turbines and generates electricity. But what is the actual wind turning of the turbines? Well, what it actually is an energy transfer, because the energy is never created or destroyed. So each wind turbine generates 3 to 5 megawatts of power, okay? But they're only 20% efficient too, which means the power that they're actually taking out of the air, the wind, the power of the wind that they're taking away is 5 times that, so 15 to 25 megawatts of energy is being taken away from the wind in order to power this wind turbine. Okay, so now you got that. So where does the wind come from? Well, the wind comes from imbalances between high pressure systems and low pressure systems. When the air pressure gets high, the air moves towards the low pressure area to gain equilibrium, and that movement creates wind. So it's a cooling effect. It's like the Earth's natural air conditioner. And so what are we doing with wind turbines? Well, we're sucking the energy out of the climate stabilization system that we already have. Now, again, like, well, the math says that's only 15 to 25 megawatts per 15 to 25 megawatts per tower. So we'll go middle range, say 20. Why is that a big deal? There's 350,000 wind turbines in the world. So what we're essentially doing is sapping 700 megawatts of energy out of the Earth's natural cooling system, which is going to accelerate heating. And because these areas of high pressure are forming when naturally they shouldn't be forming, or if they would be naturally forming there, they're much more intense. And so the expansion to the low pressure area is faster, and that creates more severe extreme weather events. Something like a third of the solar panels in the world are actually in African deserts. Something like that. Anywhere, I think it's a quarter to a third, something like that. So this is why I need a grant from some nice conservative foundation so I can finish getting all the numbers together and all the research. So the deserts in Africa are getting even hotter than they ever have before because we're heating it up an additional 5 to 7 degrees, which means the high pressure systems forming there are even higher, which means as they move into the low pressure systems over the Atlantic, it's more extreme, it's more violent, and more likely to kick off hurricanes across the Atlantic. And then, of course, the same thing happens going across the Pacific as well. So that's that. So then you combine the two things. We're creating a greater imbalance, and we're diminishing the Earth's ability to to hit an equilibrium and to rebalance itself. And that's our green technology that's supposed to save us from global warming. But in actuality, not even counting the production and transportation of all the materials for this green technology, just the green technology itself is generating extra heat and reducing the Earth's ability to rebalance that heat and cool back off. So the supposed golden gems of green technology are actually accelerating climate change. Now, you won't hear any climate change scientists talking about this. Why? Well, for the same reason they're doing it all anyways. Money. Climatologists are getting paid to back up climate change, but they're not getting paid to talk about what's actually causing climate change. They're just told to talk about CO2 levels. But the CO2 levels are only like 0.1 or 0.01% of the atmosphere change in the last 50 years. Okay? More CO2 means more trees. Yeah, so it's